Hashtag please don't marry her, the homeless girl said at the church. What she revealed next shocked everyone. The church doors burst open with a thunderous bang that silenced the wedding march. Every head turned as a disheveled young woman stood in the doorway, her clothes tattered but her eyes burning with determination. "Please," she cried out, her voice echoing through the sacred space, "don't marry her." The bride's face drained of color as she recognized the intruder, a homeless girl who had been living under the bridge near her apartment. What happened next would change everyone's lives forever. If you're wondering how this shocking wedding interruption ends, stay with me until the final moments of this incredible true story. And if you're enjoying this journey of love, betrayal, and redemption, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing to our channel for more stories that will touch your heart. Alex Bennett stood at the altar, his heart pounding beneath his tailored suit. At 32, he had finally found the woman he wanted to spend his life with, or so he thought. Cassandra Reynolds was everything he had dreamed of, beautiful, accomplished, and from a family that had embraced him immediately. The church was filled with flowers, friends, and family members dabbing at happy tears. The wedding march began, and Cassandra appeared at the end of the aisle, a vision in white. Her father, a distinguished man with silver hair, proudly walked beside her. Alex felt his breath catch. This was the moment he had been waiting for. But then came the interruption that would shatter the perfect day. "Please don't marry her." The voice was ragged but determined. A young woman, perhaps in her mid-20s, stood in the doorway. Her clothes were worn and dirty, her hair unwashed, but there was something in her eyes that commanded attention, a fierce intelligence and desperation that couldn't be ignored. Security moved toward her, but she dodged them with surprising agility. "She's not who you think she is," the woman shouted, pointing at the bride. Cassandra's face contorted with rage. "Get that crazy woman out of here," she hissed to the ushers. But the homeless woman locked eyes with Alex. "My name is Maya Wilson. 3 years ago, I was a journalist. I was investigating corporate fraud at Reynolds Pharmaceuticals when I discovered something I wasn't supposed to know." The crowd murmured in confusion. Reynolds Pharmaceuticals, owned by Cassandra's family. "This is ridiculous," Cassandra's father interrupted, his authoritative voice cutting through the chaos. "This woman is clearly mentally ill. Remove her immediately." Maya stood her ground. "They destroyed my life when I found evidence of their illegal drug trials. Trials that killed people." Her voice broke. "They framed me for drug possession, got me fired, blacklisted. I lost everything, my career, my apartment, my reputation." Alex felt the world tilt beneath his feet. He had worked as legal counsel for Reynolds Pharmaceuticals for the past year. It was how he'd met Cassandra. He'd never seen anything suspicious, but he also knew he hadn't been given access to their complete records. "She's lying," Cassandra said, clutching Alex's arm. "Baby, don't listen to her." But Maya reached into her tattered jacket and pulled out a weatherproof pouch. "I kept the evidence. I've been living on the streets, moving from shelter to shelter, afraid they'd find me and take the last thing I had, the truth." The church had fallen completely silent now. Even the security guards paused, sensing that something momentous was unfolding. "I recognized you from the society pages," Maya said to Alex. "I've been watching, waiting for a chance to warn you. You're marrying into a family built on suffering and lies." Alex looked at Cassandra, searching her face for denial, for outrage at these accusations. Instead, he saw calculation in her eyes, the same expression he'd seen when she discussed business with her father. "Is it true?" he asked quietly. "Of course not," Cassandra snapped, but her voice lacked conviction. Maya stepped forward, holding out the pouch. "See for yourself." The documents revealed a horrifying truth. Reynolds Pharmaceuticals had conducted unauthorized trials of an experimental drug in developing countries. When patients began dying, they covered it up, falsified data, and brought the drug to market anyway. The profits had been enormous, and the death toll continued to rise. The wedding, of course, never happened. Instead, that day marked the beginning of the largest pharmaceutical scandal in decades. Alex, drawing on his legal expertise, helped Maya bring the evidence to the proper authorities. The Reynolds family faced criminal charges, their empire crumbling under the weight of their crimes. For Maya, vindication came at last, though the years on the street had taken their toll. She had developed health problems that would require ongoing treatment, and the trauma of her experience had left deep psychological scars. Alex, shaken by how close he had come to binding his life to such corruption, offered Maya something she hadn't expected, not pity, but partnership. He believed in her cause and wanted to help make things right. Together, they established a foundation to help whistleblowers who faced retaliation, ensuring that others wouldn't suffer as Maya had. Months passed. Maya, with proper nutrition and medical care, began to regain her strength. The sharp intelligence that had made her an excellent journalist found purpose again in her advocacy work. And Alex, who had once thought he knew what love was, discovered something deeper in his growing friendship with Maya, a connection based on shared values and mutual respect. One evening, as they worked late in the foundation office, Maya looked up to find Alex watching her. "What?" she asked, self-conscious. "I was just thinking about how different my life would be if you hadn't had the courage to speak up that day," he said quietly. Maya shook her head. "I almost didn't. I was so afraid no one would believe me. But you did it anyway. That's real courage." Their eyes held for a moment too long, and both looked away, not yet ready to acknowledge the feelings growing between them. 2 years after the wedding that never was, Maya stood in the sunshine outside the courthouse where the final Reynolds trial had just concluded with guilty verdicts all around. Her hair was healthy now, her clothes simple but clean. The haunted look in her eyes had been replaced by something steadier, not innocence, but resilience. Alex joined her on the courthouse steps. "It's really over," he said. Maya nodded. "Justice doesn't erase what happened, but it helps." "What will you do now?" he asked. Their foundation was well established, with a team of dedicated staff. Maya had proven herself an exceptional leader, but Alex knew she sometimes missed investigative journalism. "I've been thinking about that," she said. "I've received some offers from news outlets. My name has been cleared, and apparently, bringing down a corrupt pharmaceutical giant makes for a pretty good resume." Alex felt a pang at the thought of her leaving. "That's wonderful. You deserve it." Maya turned to face him fully. "But I'm not going to take them. At least, not yet." She took a deep breath. "The foundation needs me. And there are other reasons I want to stay." The hope that flared in Alex's eyes gave her courage. "I never thanked you properly," she said. "Not just for believing me, but for seeing me, really seeing me, when I was at my lowest." "You don't need to thank me for that," Alex replied. "You saved me from a life built on lies. I'm the one who should be grateful." Maya smiled, a full, genuine smile that transformed her face. "Maybe we can just agree to be grateful for second chances." Alex reached for her hand, and she let him take it. "I'd like that." As they walked down the courthouse steps together, neither knew exactly what the future held, but they faced it with something they had both nearly lost: hope. The story of Maya and Alex spread far beyond the scandal that had initially brought them together. Their foundation helped dozens of whistleblowers find safety and justice, changing corporate culture by making it harder for powerful entities to silence those who spoke truth to power. 5 years after the wedding interruption, Maya published a memoir that became an instant bestseller. In it, she detailed not only the corruption she had uncovered but also her journey from respected journalist to homeless outcast and back to a position of influence. The book's unflinching honesty about mental health struggles and the failures of social safety nets sparked national conversations. Alex, meanwhile, had redirected his legal career toward advocacy for the vulnerable. The man who had once represented corporate interests now taught a university course on ethics and corporate responsibility, using the Reynolds case as a primary example of what could happen when profit was prioritized over human life. Their personal relationship had evolved slowly, cautiously. Both carried scars from the past, Maya from her time on the streets, Alex from the shock of discovering how thoroughly he had been deceived. They built trust day by day, supporting each other through nightmares and doubts. On a crisp autumn evening, Alex took Maya to a small, secluded garden where they had often walked when she was first recovering. The trees were ablaze with color, and the setting sun cast everything in a golden glow. "I've been thinking," he said as they sat on a bench overlooking a pond. "A dangerous pastime," Maya teased, but her eyes were soft. "I know we've both been hesitant about making big commitments after everything that happened," he continued. "And I understand why. But I want you to know that I'm certain about one thing in my life, and that's you." Maya's breath caught. "Alex." He took her hand. "I'm not proposing, not yet. I just want you to know that when you're ready, if you're ever ready, I'll be here. There's no rush, no pressure. What we have is enough." Tears filled Maya's eyes. For someone who isn't proposing, that was a pretty good speech. Alex laughed, relieved by her response. "I've been practicing." Maya leaned against his shoulder. "I never thought I'd trust anyone again after what happened. But you make me believe in people again." They sat in comfortable silence as the sun disappeared and the first stars appeared in the darkening sky. "I think," Maya said finally, "that someday I might be ready for that proposal. Not today, but someday." Alex kissed the top of her head. "Someday is good enough for me." 7 years to the day after Maya had burst into the church, she found herself standing in another sacred space. This time, however, there was no desperation, no fear, only joy. The small chapel was filled with friends they had made through their work, people whose lives had been touched by their foundation, and the few family members who had stood by them through everything. No elaborate decorations, no society photographers, just honest emotion and genuine celebration. Alex waited at the altar, his eyes never leaving the doorway. When Maya appeared, wearing a simple dress that complemented her natural beauty, his smile was radiant. As she walked toward him, Maya reflected on the journey that had brought them here. From the depths of despair to this moment of pure happiness, it seemed almost impossible. Yet here they were. The officiant, a chaplain who worked with homeless communities, smiled at the gathered guests. "We are here today to celebrate not just love, but courage, truth, and the remarkable resilience of the human spirit." Maya and Alex exchanged vows they had written themselves, promises not of blind devotion but of continued growth, mutual support, and unwavering honesty. When they kissed, the applause that filled the chapel felt like a validation of every difficult choice, every moment of bravery that had led to this day. At the reception, Maya's former editor, one of the few who had apologized for doubting her, raised a toast. "To Maya and Alex, who remind us that sometimes, the most beautiful beginnings come from the most unlikely places. May your truth always set you free." Later, as they danced under strings of soft lights, Alex whispered, "Are you happy?" Maya looked up at him, her eyes clear and bright. "More than I ever thought possible." "No regrets about interrupting my first wedding?" he asked with a teasing smile. "Best thing I ever did," she replied, standing on tiptoe to kiss him. "Though I'm rather fond of this wedding too." As the night drew to a close, they slipped away from the celebration, hand in hand, ready to begin the next chapter of their extraordinary story. 10 years after the fateful day at the church, Maya and Alex sat in the waiting room of an adoption agency, hearts pounding with anticipation. Their foundation had expanded internationally, their advocacy had helped change laws protecting whistleblowers, and now they were ready to grow their family. "Mr. and Mrs. Bennett?" The social worker appeared with a warm smile. "She's ready to meet you." They followed her down a hallway decorated with children's artwork. Maya squeezed Alex's hand, drawing strength from his steady presence. The room was bright and colorful, filled with toys. In the center, a social worker sat with a small girl of about 4. Her dark curls framed a solemn face, and her eyes, wise beyond their years, studied the newcomers carefully. "Lily," the social worker said gently, "these are the people I told you about. This is Maya and Alex." Maya knelt down to be at eye level with the child. "Hello, Lily. We're very happy to meet you." Lily didn't speak, but she didn't look away either. According to her file, she had been in foster care since infancy, moved between homes too many times for someone so young. "We brought something for you," Alex said, joining Maya on the floor. He pulled a small, colorful book from his bag. Maya wrote this. It's about a brave little bird who loses her nest but finds a new home. Lily's eyes widened with interest. She reached for the book, her small fingers tracing the illustrations. "Would you like me to read it to you?" Maya asked. A tiny nod. As Maya read the story, one she had written specifically for children in foster care, Lily gradually moved closer, until she was leaning against Maya's arm to see the pictures better. By the end of the story, a small smile had appeared on Lily's face. When she finally spoke, her voice was soft but clear. The bird was scared. Yes, she was, Maya agreed. Being scared is normal when big changes happen. But she found a good home, Lily continued, looking up at Maya with those penetrating eyes. She did, Alex said. Sometimes the best families are the ones we find along the way. Lily seemed to consider this deeply. Then, with the directness only a child could manage, she asked, "Are you going to be my forever family?" Maya felt tears prick her eyes. "We would like to be, very much. But only if that's what you want too." Lily looked between them, making her own assessment with remarkable perception. "I think," she said carefully, "I would like that." The journey to making Lily legally their daughter took months of visits, paperwork, and home studies. But on a bright spring morning, a judge made it official. Lily Bennett left the courthouse between her new parents, holding both their hands. As they walked to the car, Lily looked up at Maya. "You were homeless once, right? Like in your book?" Maya had never hidden her past from Lily, believing that honesty was the foundation of trust. "Yes, I was." "And now you have a home and a family." "I do." Lily nodded, satisfied. "Me too." 15 years after Maya had interrupted a wedding and changed countless lives, she stood in the back of a university auditorium, watching with pride as Alex delivered the commencement address. Their foundation had become one of the most respected advocacy organizations in the country, and both Maya and Alex were sought-after speakers on ethics, corporate responsibility, and social justice. Beside her stood Lily, now a poised young woman of 19, home from her first year of college where she was studying social work. "Dad's killing it," she whispered, grinning as Alex made the graduating class laugh with a self-deprecating joke. "He always does," Maya agreed. On Lily's other side, 11-year-old Ethan fidgeted in his dress clothes. Their son, adopted at age 3, had boundless energy and a passion for science. "How much longer?" he whispered. "Not long," Lily assured him, ruffling his hair affectionately. Maya watched her children with a heart full of gratitude. Their family had been formed by choice, by love that transcended biology. Each of them had known loss, had faced challenges that might have broken weaker spirits. Together, they had found healing. Alex's voice drew her attention back to the stage. "The most important lesson I've learned in my life," he was saying, "is that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's acting despite that fear when something truly matters. One person speaking truth, even when their voice shakes, can change everything." His eyes found Maya in the crowd, and the look they exchanged held 15 years of shared history, the pain, the triumph, the quiet everyday moments that had shaped their life together. After the ceremony, as they made their way through the crowd of graduates and families, a young woman approached Maya hesitantly. "Ms. Bennett? I'm sorry to bother you, but I just wanted to say thank you. Your book helped me find the courage to report ethical violations at my internship last year. It was terrifying, but they actually listened and made changes." Maya smiled warmly. "That took real bravery. I'm proud of you. I was just doing what